Hello friends, let us now learn about some points about lipids. So, here this is the structure of lipids, which is a carbon chain ending with COOH. The last carbon is one. The carbon just before the last carbon we give as alpha, beta, gamma and delta naming. Okay. Now, what does fat contain? The fats contain fatty acids and glycerol. Fats contain two things, one fatty acids and glycerol. So, what are waxes? So, if you see, waxes are the fatty acids with high molecular weight alcohol are called as waxes. Waxes are fatty acid with high molecular weight alcohol. So, most common wax which is available is bee wax, and we have something called as linolene, which is nothing but wool wax. Linolene is wool wax. Then we have ear wax is cerumen or ceruminous glands. Ear wax includes cerumen, which is ceruminous glands. Ceruminous glands we have cholesterol, fat and sphingolene are seen in ceruminous glands. In ceruminous glands, the cerumen contains cholesterol, fat and sphingolene. Okay. Then we have spermaceti. This spermaceti includes mylistic acid, tauric acid from sperm whole. From sperm we have spermaceti, that is mylistic acid and tauric acid are seen. So we have oils. What are the oils? Oils are nothing but fats which are present in liquid state are called as oils. Okay, fats in liquid states are called as oils. So this is about the lipids. Then if you see the extra, we have something called as phospholipids. What are phospholipids? Phospholipids are to the glycerol phosphate. If choline is added, choline can be added, or then it is lecithin, or if this to this glycerol phosphate, ethanolamine, serine, inositol, glycerol can be added. So what are glycolipids? Glycolipids include, we have sphingosine plus fatty acid plus ceramide. To this sphingosine there is fatty acid which is added, and to this if ceramide is added, then we call it as glycolipid. In phospholipid, to the glycerol phosphate group is added, and to this phosphate all these compounds can be added. Then if you see, the fatty acids can be divided into two types. We have saturated fatty acids and we have unsaturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acid do not have any double bond, whereas unsaturated fatty acids have double bond. So in saturated fatty acids we have palmitic acid, that is 16 carbons. Then we have oleic acid, that is 18 carbons. Palmitic acid in 16 carbons and oleic acid is 18 carbons. Then if you see, in unsaturated fatty acids we have palmitoleic acid, linoleic acid, linolenic acid, arachidonic acid are present in unsaturated fatty acids. Now these unsaturated fatty acids are again divided into, we have monounsaturated fatty acids and we have polyunsaturated fatty acids. In monounsaturated fatty acids there is only one double bond or one triple bond, mainly one double bond. So this monounsaturated fatty acid is palmitoleic acid. This is palmitoleic acid which is 16 carbon compound with first double bond at 9 carbon position. At 9 carbon position there is double bond, that is palmitoleic acid. Then we have polyunsaturated. In polyunsaturated we have dienoic acid which is linoleic acid, trienoic acid which is linolenic acid, tetraenoic acid which is arachidonic acid. So we have dienoic acid which is linoleic acid, trienoic acid which is linolenic acid, tetraenoic acid which includes arachidonic acid. Okay, next if you see, so this is the carbon atom. Here at 9th position you have double bond, that is palmitoleic acid. This is palmitoleic acid. Okay, so we will see, it is omega 6 which is palmitoleic acid which is 16 carbon and double bond is present at 7th position. Then we have omega 9, double bond is present at 9th position. Then we have omega 9 which include oleic acid and aldehydic acid. Oleic acid is 18 carbon compound and has double bond at 9 carbons. Okay, then we have omega 6 series. Omega 6 series includes linoleic acid and linolenic acid, arachidonic acid. We have linoleic acid, linolenic acid and arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is 20 carbons and here the double bond is on 12th carbon. That is omega 6 series, which is linoleic, linolenic and arachidonic acid. Then we have omega 3 series. In the omega 3 series we have linolenic acid, alpha linolenic acid, sorry, normal linolenic acid is omega 6, but we have alpha linolenic acid, icosapentaenoic acid or timidonic acid, or docasa tetraenoic acid or cervidonic acid is present in omega 3 series. So in omega 9 series we have oleic acid or elandaic acid. Omega 6 series we have linoleic acid, linolenic acid and arachidonic acid, whereas omega 3 series have alpha linolenic acid, icosapentaenoic acid or timidonic acid, and we also have docasa tetraenoic acid are present in omega 3 series. Okay, so these are the different types. Then what is the differences between, what are the one after the other, how does each amino acid, each fatty acid gives rise to? So if you see, we have in the omega 6 series, linoleic acid gives rise to delta linolenic acid. This delta linolenic acid forms arachidonic acid. So linoleic acid in the presence of delta 6 desaturase, it gives delta linolenic acid. This delta linolenic acid in the presence of delta 5 desaturase, it gives arachidonic acid. Similarly, in the omega 3 series we have alpha linolenic acid which gives rise to icosapentaenoic acid, which again gives rise to docasa hexaenoic acid, which is nothing but cervonic acid. This is docasa, not tetra, it is hexaenoic acid. Okay, so in the omega 3 series we have alpha linolenic acid which gives rise to icosapentaenoic acid, which gives rise to docasa hexaenoic acid or cervonic acid. Sorry, this is docasa tetraenoic acid only. This is docasa tetraenoic acid only, and this is called as cervidonic acid. Whereas this icosapentaenoic acid gives docasa hexaenoic acid, which is cervonic acid. Even this is omega 6 fatty acids. Then if you see, we have icosapentaenoic acid. Icosapentaenoic acid is rich in fish oil. Icosapentaenoic acid is rich in fish oil. Then we have docasa hexaenoic acid, which is present in milk. Okay, icosapentaenoic acid is rich in fish oil, whereas docasa hexaenoic acid is present in milk. Okay, then we have essential fatty acids are omega 3 and omega 6 series are called as essential fatty acid. Whenever there is deficiency of this essential fatty acids, that will lead to something called as phrenoderma. So what is seen in this phrenoderma? In this phrenoderma there is slowness of brain function. The skin becomes dry and flaky. Okay, because this essential fatty acids will form cell wall of epithelium and fingertips and cracks, and as a result this deficiency of essential fatty acid leads to slowness of brain function, skin is dry and flaky, and fingertips will crack, and this is called as phrenoderma. Then we have something called as branched chain fatty acids. So what are branched chain fatty acids? These are similar to unsaturated fatty acids. These branched chain fatty acids are similar to unsaturated fatty acids. Here there is increased fluidity and decreased transition temperature. This is associated with increased fluidity and decreased transition temperature. The branched chain fatty acids examples are, we have phytanic acid and pristanic acid. We have phytanic acid and pristanic acid, which are branched chain fatty acids. These branched chain fatty acids cannot undergo beta oxidation, so they mainly undergoes alpha oxidation with the help of the enzyme phytanic acid. With the help of the enzyme phytanic acid, they undergo alpha oxidation. Okay, then important thing is, whenever there is deficiency of phytanic acid, this oxidase, this leads to the disease called as Refsum's disease. Refsum's disease occurs if there is deficiency of phytanic acid oxidase. Okay, then if you see, we have vernix caseosa. This vernix caseosa is a type of layer which is present on the skin of the baby. This will maintain the gut flora and it prevent necrotizing enterocolitis, and it also causes apoptosis to the breast cancer cells. Okay, in vernix caseosa, it maintains the gut flora, it prevents necrotizing enterocolitis, and it causes apoptosis of breast cancer cells. Then in the fats, we have geometric isomerism are also present in fats. In the fats, the geometric isomerism have two forms. One, it has the cis form. Second, it has trans form. In cis form, both the side chains are to the same side of double bond. In trans bond, both the side chains are to the opposite sides of the double bond. Then natural fatty acids, which we are seeing in our body, these natural fatty acids are mainly made up of the cis forms. Natural fatty acids include cis forms. These cis forms can undergo hydrogenation and they can transform into trans form. Okay, the cis form may form trans form by hydrogenation. Okay, so this trans form will increase triglycerides, increases LDL and decreases HDL. This trans form will increase triglycerides, increases LDL and decreases HDL. So as a result, this trans forms will predispose to myocardial infarction. So what are the trans fatty acids? So these trans fatty acids will increase the shelf life and also increases CSF and diabetes mellitus and coronary artery diseases. They increases shelf life, they increases risk factor, they increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes mellitus and coronary artery disease. They also increase the transition time. They are good for cooking and baking. They causes deficiency of essential fatty acid also. They also increase the deficiency of essential fatty acid. Examples include, we have butter and margarine are the examples of trans fatty acid. Right? Then let us now learn about some properties of the lipids. So in the properties of the lipids, first we have auto-oxidation. So what is auto-oxidation? In the auto-oxidation, here we have polyunsaturated fatty acids like linoleic acid, linolenic acid and arachidonic acid can undergo auto-oxidation because of the presence of double bonds in them, or polyunsaturated form. They can undergo auto-oxidation. How does that occur? See, whenever there is a reduced metal, this reduced metal will combine with ROOH and it forms ROO minus and oxidized metal. Okay, this reduced metal X plus RH, it forms R minus and XH. So there are two processes should occur for initiation. So one, or oxidized metal is formed, second neutralized metal is formed. Okay, this metal is not something which we have to know about. The thing which is used in propagation is this ROO minus. This ROO minus will combine with ROOH and it forms ROO minus and ROO minus again. This R minus will combine with oxygen and it forms ROO minus. If two ROO minus combine together and they form ROOR. So this ROOR is called as rancid form of lipids. Even this R minus, both these will combine together and form RR. So these are rancid form of lipids which are not suitable for eating. So this is about auto-oxidation which produces uneatable, non-eatable forms. Then we have if the fatty acid has 3 double bonds, if the fatty acid has 3 double bonds, then check for malone dehydrate. If we have omega 3, we can check for ethane level, whereas if it is an omega 6 fatty acid, then we can check the pentane level for rancidity. For rancidity, if there is 3 double bonds are present, then we will have to check malone aldehyde. If omega 3 fatty acids, in order to check the rancidity, we will have to check the ethane level. For omega 6 double bond, we should check the pentane level for rancidity. Then important thing is about peroxide value. What does peroxide value tell us? Peroxide value is the number of peroxides which are present in a given fat, tells us the peroxide value. In a given fat sample, the number of peroxides is peroxide value. Then the next property is we have saponification number. So what does saponification number tell us? So saponification is the amount of KOH required to break 1 gram of fat to form glycerol and fatty acid. So saponification number is the amount of KOH required to break 1 gram of fat to glycerol and fatty acid is called as saponification. So if you have to break down 1 gram of fat into glycerol and fatty acid, the amount of KOH required is saponification number. This will also tell us about the molecular size of the fatty acid, whether the fatty acid is short chain fatty acid or long chain or medium chain fatty acid. Then we have the next important property is iodine number. I'll write it here. We have iodine number. So what does this iodine number tell us? So this iodine number is the iodine absorbed per 100 grams of fat. The iodine absorbed by 100 grams of fat is called as iodine number. It gives us the about degree of unsaturation. It tells us about the degree of unsaturation, and it is also directly proportional to degree of unsaturation. So that is iodine number. Iodine number is the iodine absorbed by 100 grams of fat. So this iodine number gives us the degree of unsaturation, and it is also directly proportional to the degree of unsaturation. So that is iodine number. Then we have one value which is called as Richert-Meson value. What does this Richert-Meson value tells us? This Richert-Meson value is the amount of 0.1 normality alkali which is required to neutralize the volatile soluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat. That is Richert-Meson value. That is the amount of 0.1 normality alkali required to neutralize volatile soluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat is Richert-Meson value. It tells us about the fatty acid amount. This tells us about the fatty acid amount. That is Richert-Meson value, which is the amount of 0.1 normality alkali required to neutralize the volatile soluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat. Okay. Then we have one more number which is called as Link's number. So this Link's number, Paulink's number, this Paulink's number will tell us about the amount of 0.1 normality alkali. It will tell us about the amount of 0.1 normally alkali required to neutralize a volatile insoluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat. If we have to neutralize insoluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat, then the number used is Paulinsky number. If we have to neutralize the volatile soluble fatty acid in 5 grams of fat which is soluble, then that is Richert-Meson number. This Paulinsky number tells us about the insoluble fatty acid, whereas this Richert-Meson number will tell us about the soluble fatty acid. These are the important numbers. Then Then what is phospholipids? So let us now learn about some complex lipids. In the complex lipid we have something called as phospholipids. So what does phospholipids include? Phospholipid have a phosphoric acid, nitrogen base and an alcohol. Alcohol is most commonly glycerol or sphingolipid. Anyways, alcohol with nitrogen base with phosphoric acid is called as phospholipids. It has two main things. If the alcohol is glycerol, then we call it as glycerophospholipids. If the alcohol is sphingosine, then we call it as sphingospholipids. If the alcohol is glycerol, we call it as glycerophospholipids. If the alcohol is sphingosine, then we call it as sphingospholipids. Then first we will see about glycerophospholipids. These glycerophospholipids, actually these occur in biological membranes. So first type of glycerophospholipid is we have phosphatidic acid. This phosphatidic acid is helpful in the synthesis of triacyl glycerol and phospholipids. This is an intermediate in synthesis of triacyl glycerol and phospholipids. What does this phosphatidic acid contain? It contains glycerol plus phosphoric acid plus fatty acid esterified at second carbon. See, this is a glycerol side chain, okay, with phosphoric acid at one end and fatty acids in 2 carbons. In 2 carbons you have fatty acids. Okay, so this is phosphatidic acid. Then we have to learn about first phospholipid, which is lecithin. So lecithin is the first phospholipid, which is phosphatidylcholine. It is actually storage form of body's choline. So it is most abundant, this lecithin or phosphatidylcholine is most abundantly present in the cell membrane. This lecithin or phosphatidylcholine is mostly present in the cell membrane. So if you see, this is the choline part, this is the phosphatidyl part and this is the glycerol. So it has glycerol plus phosphatidic acid plus choline. Okay, so this is lecithin. If we have in the lecithin, we have 2 compounds which are present. One, we have dipalmitoyl lecithin. Second, we have lysolecithin. Okay, this dipalmitoyl lecithin is nothing but surface active agent in the lungs. It is nothing but it is surfactant. It is a component of surfactant. Whereas lysolecithin, it is formed by the removal of fatty acid at either C1 or C2 of lecithin. So from the lecithin in C3 it is attached to phosphatidic acid and choline. But if you remove this or this one of this fatty acid at C1 and C2, then the resultant structure is called as lysolecithin. Right? Next we have to learn about some other compounds. So we will learn about them in the next class. Thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.